Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube. So today's video is going to be a Sculpting 101 video. I haven't done one of these in a little while, but I'd like to do more in this series where I go into detail about how I sculpt things specifically. So there was going to be two separate videos on the cassowary feet that I've been sculpting, which is this one, how to sculpt these big plate scales on top of the toes that you see, and then the next one's going to be how I sculpted all the little scales. So starting off with the big scales, or the big plate scales as I've called them. So you want to basically, there's no right or wrong way of sculpting things. It's just whatever you find works for you. So basically what I did was sculpted a rough outline of the toes to begin with, and then slowly sculpting in all of the little details that come along. So I'm starting off with the nail bed, and I basically have this little spoon tool, and these tools I got in a set of like clay sculpting set that you can find on eBay or something, just in your local craft store. So this one comes with like a little spoon end that you can see I'm using here. So they're double-ended, but this spoon one works quite well. So I'm using the flat end of the spoon to push the nail bed back, and just going around and just smoothing out the nail to make it nice and smooth, and sort of pulling it out a little bit to make a point. So once you're happy with the nail bed, you just sort of flatten it out a little bit and smooth it out, and then I like to add like a little padding underneath the toe. So if you have a look at any reference images, I always have reference images up on my computer next to me, so I know what I'm sculpting, and I have all different kinds of angles as well, just so I can get a good view of the overall thing that I'm sculpting. So these little feet have pads on the bottom of them, and obviously it's used for the cassowary to walk on. So I'm just adding like a little worm, like a thick worm, to the bottom of that nail bed and smoothing it out. And you can see it really starts to come to life when you add those little extra details. And just smoothing it into the nail bed as well, making sure it's nice and combined and flush. Alrighty, so now for the plates. So I've basically roughed out where I want these plates to be, and I used that using my needle tool just to slightly mark this clay where I want these to be. And again, going in with my spoon tool, and you can see I'm using the flat end to push that clay back and create that indentation or the top of the plate to so it looks like it's going over the top of the other plate. And once you're happy with that, you can sort of smooth it out and then move on to the sides of the plates. So I'm using this little rake tool. I got it from a local store here called Barnes in Melbourne, but you can find rake tools anywhere online, or you can even make them yourself. I have a tutorial on how I made one of my rake tools on my Patreon if you're interested. But just basically going along the edge of those plates and subtracting some of that clay to create sort of a like it's over the top look to it, and just going in with all the little details around the side to make them a bit more curved as well. So this can be like really roughing out where you want those plates to be, and just dragging your tool across it to get rid of that clay. And you want to still blend it into the rest of the foot or the rest of the toe, so it's just not like like you've dug something out of the clay. And then usually going in with your finger and just smoothing it out a little bit so it's not so rough around the edges. So now I'm going back in with that spoon tool, and I'm sort of smoothing out those edges with the curve end. I don't know why it's unfocused at the moment, but there we go. So smoothing everything out with that flat end or the curved end, and also my fingernail. My fingernail works quite well. And just sort of rounding off that edge of the plates as well, so they're more, not so sharp, I guess, and just slowly working in all those little details. So it's pretty much the same process with all the other plates, just pushing that clay back to create that little indentation and rise in the other top end of the plate. And just going back and smoothing it around, curling the edges over, pushing them back, and it's pretty much the same process. If you're finding your plate doesn't have enough clay on top to look like it's sitting on top, just add a little bit more clay and blend it in with the tool as well, and yeah, see how it looks. Don't add too much, but you can always take it off if you're unhappy with it. But yeah, you can always add like a tiny bit more clay. So I'll speed the process up a little bit because it's relatively the same process for each scale. Just going back and forth between the scales and making sure they're all symmetrical and blended in nicely. And then once you're happy, you can move on with the next bit. So that's pretty much it for the Sculpting 101 on this. Any questions, let me know in the comments, but I hope you enjoyed watching how I made these scales. It's the same deal for the other toe as well. So yeah, let me know if you have any requests for Sculpting 101 videos and how I sculpt things. Let me know in the comments. I can definitely make them. But if you want a little more, you can check out my Patreon. I have heaps of videos over there just for tutorials and also exclusive access to things and printables and coupon codes. So heaps of things over there. Check it out. Link is in the description. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. I really appreciate it. It kind of inspires me to do more things and yeah, bring you more content. But anyway, you can also check me out on Instagram, Facebook, Creatures of Nat, and my shop, creaturesofnat.com, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!